What is up, Kilo Crew, and welcome to today's video. Today is going to be a slightly different video, but hopefully one which most of you will enjoy, because probably the second or third most common question that I get on all of my YouTube videos or just all of my social media platforms in general is, what are all of my tattoos and what do they mean? So I recently just added a couple more to my tattoo arsenal. It had been a super long time since I'd gotten a tattoo. I think it's been like 2 years before that I got my last tattoo, and that's probably mostly because of La Corona, not of the cerveza variety, and that probably was the main inhibitor of me getting more tattoos when I was originally planning to. But yeah, I just added a couple more tattoos to the arsenal, and I wanted to go ahead and just walk you through the timeline of my tattoos and what I recently got, and then maybe tease a little bit about what I'm planning on getting in the future. So I think that'll be really exciting. Again, this is one of the most common questions that I get, so hopefully this answers a lot of your questions. And of course, if you have further questions from me, leave them down in the comments below. I will try to get back to as many as possible. But I think before we really dig into this, I am going to be admitting my nerdiness quite a lot throughout this tattoo explanation video. So without further delay, I think it is the perfect time to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. I only started playing Raid Shadow Legends earlier this year, but they just celebrated their 3rd anniversary as one of the top RPG games out there. I'm seriously addicted already, and I've barely scratched the surface. There's all sorts of modes of gameplay, from single to multiplayer to the Doom Tower mode, with over 120 levels of new monsters to slay. Even better, my inner art nerd loves the designs of the bosses, heroes, and monsters in the game. Of all of the factions, my favorite has to be the Shadowkin. The Shadowkin are a tribe of warriors from the Far East, recently liberated from the reign of evil. For me, they're one of the coolest looking factions in the game. But of course, no review can end without addressing the newest and literally best addition to Raid. I'm talking about the Hydra clan boss. This monster has multiple heads, each with a different ability, and requires a different strategy to destroy. But here's where it gets really challenging. Even if you manage to chop off one of the heads, another one grows to replace it. I haven't beaten him yet, but I'll gladly spend some time trying to beat this guy since he dropped some of the best loot in the game. To celebrate their 3rd anniversary, Raid's currently running a special Deliana Chase event where you can get your hands on the amazing Deliana, a brand new legendary champion from the High Elves faction. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 20th, and you'll get Deliana for free. Once you're in game, just enter promo code MyDeliana to get your hands on everything. Get 50 XP brews to instantly get your legendary hero Deliana to max level 50, as well as a ton of silver. Deliana is one of the strongest support champions in the entire game and can help carry your team past many of Raid's tougher challenges, and probably even the Hydra. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $40. We're talking 3 free champions at once: Misericord, Tiger Soul, and Romero, plus like 30 buffing brews. That's huge! All this treasure will be waiting for you here once you log in. It's that easy. Just click the link in the description and I'll see you in the game. Yep, told you guys I was a little bit of a nerd, but anyway, let's start from the beginning. So tattoo number 1, that was this big bad boy right here, and that is my Flag Nor Fail stag tattoo. Now, I got this tattoo back in 2015, and it was my first tattoo after I joined the military. So I was actually in like the Pismo Beach, California area when I got this tattoo, and it was from a gentleman named Alex at Copper Coffin, if I remember the tattoo shop name correctly. But everyone was going and getting tattoos. If you've ever joined the military and just gotten out of basic training and going to tech school or any sort of like MOS or AFSC training, a lot of people take all that money from training and go and buy tattoos, and I was one of them. I'd always wanted a tattoo, and this was the first one. So if you guys don't know, I kind of am a little bit of an art nerd as well. I used to be an art major, so I helped design this stag tattoo. I drew it up, brought it to the tattoo artist, handed it to him, and then let him kind of do with it what he wanted to, make his own style out of it, etc. And so underneath the stag, it does say, "I shall not flag nor fail," which, if you know me, I also have a bit of a background in bodybuilding. So that is kind of a little bit of borrowing from the fitness brand Flag Nor Fail by Dana Lynn Bailey and Rob Bailey. And it kind of gave me the idea to dive into, what does Flag Nor Fail even mean? I dug into it, and it's a quote originally from Winston Churchill that is from around the World War II era. And Winston Churchill is one of my favorite leaders of all time. Now, no one's perfect as a politician, of course, but as far as leadership qualities go, the man had charisma, and he certainly knew how to rally people around a cause. So I really love the quote of "I shall not flag nor fail." I think of it all the time in terms of my food challenges. When I dive into something, I try to never wave the white flag unless I have to. And if I'm going to fail, it's going to be for a purpose, and I'm going to do it with pride. So that was my very first one back in 2015, and it is obviously my biggest tattoo of all of them. And yeah, it is also my only tattoo that I have in color. The rest are in black and white, and that's kind of a stylistic thing. Anyways, that's here nor there. That's just personal preference. But let's move on to tattoo number 2, and that is this guy on my forearm here. Oh, he is hard to see. I'll have to get some B-roll of this guy. So this guy on my forearm right here, that is kind of something that I also kind of borrowed from an artist named Bioworks from, and then kind of drew it up on my own and took it to a tattoo artist. I believe I got this guy in 2016 in Louisiana from a gentleman named Banjo, and this is Buffalo Bill. So hanging in my mom's house, Mama Renee's house, is a big old bison head, and we call him Buffalo Bill, and he's been in the family for years and years and years. So he's kind of just like a symbol of my mom's side of the family. He's iconic and one of my favorite kind of pieces in my mom's house. I'm not really a materialistic person, but the nostalgia there and I guess the sentimentality of Buffalo Bill is something that I definitely wanted to have put on my body forever and ever. So yeah, that is Buffalo Bill, and he's kind of stylized a little bit. And again, I borrowed from an artist named Bioworks. You can find him on Instagram. He does some really cool kind of weird geometric-y sort of designs that I'm really, really into. But yeah, I believe that was in 2016, maybe 2017 in Shreveport, Louisiana that I got that one done, and it is one of my favorites, although I have gotten a lot of sunburns since I got this guy, and so he has kind of glooped together just a little bit, which that's no big deal. No big deal at all. The next tattoo that I got was this one right here on my elbow, which is a really long tattoo and one of my favorites as well. Actually, all of my tattoos are kind of my favorites. They all have really cool stories behind them. This is a wolf's head over a globe, which kind of, a wolf is just my personal favorite animal. Wolves have always been my favorite. My office back in the day used to be decked out in like wolves and crazy stuff like that. And then covering a globe just to signify travel. And then the original plan was to kind of dangle charms from the globe as I traveled the world. I don't think that's gonna happen, but there is one charm dangling from that, and that is the silver fern of New Zealand. And that is because way back in 2014, I did travel to New Zealand and spent 3 months there hiking, kayaking, and mountaineering through the southern islands. So it's one of the most memorable trips I've ever done. It was one of those defining moments that like changed my life forever, and I really wanted to have that kind of just solidified on my body forever and ever and ever. The gentleman that did this was also in Shreveport, Louisiana, and his name was Bear. He was like a 17-year-old kid. He was really awesome though. He did some really great work. He did some work on my buddies that were in the military at the time, and I really fell in love with his stuff. So he did this whole elbow piece, and everyone always asked, did the elbow hurt? Not really. The elbow didn't hurt too bad. It kind of feels like when you fall off a bike and skin your elbow. It's not the most pleasant spot to get a tattoo, but it's also not the most painful either. I'd say the most painful so far has been the antlers of this guy right up near the armpit. Whew, that tickles a little bit. And then let's see, the next guy I got was this gator right here. And that was, again, you'll notice I do things to kind of signify travel or time spent or anything that's sort of a little bit sentimental to me. I usually have a reason for a tattoo, or at least want to have a good story behind one. The gator just represents Louisiana. Obviously, there's a lot of gators in Louisiana. And yeah, it just kind of reminded me that I spent some time there. It was kind of a defining growth phase for me. I learned a lot during that time and kind of did some big growing up in my mid-20s there in Louisiana. So yeah, really cool gator. And gosh, I feel really bad. I can't remember the name of the artist that did my gator. Really nice guy too. That's unfortunate. I can't remember his name. I feel like a really terrible person. I believe I got this in 2017. I believe I got it either right before or right after a deployment. And I just can't remember if it was before or after. Maybe I can dig through my phone and find out, and I'll have it pop up on the screen. But yeah, this guy was pretty cool to get. Next up on the list was this guy right here, which was a really fun one. And I know for a fact I got this right when I got back from deployment. I went with a few buddies on Friday the 13th. We just went and got cheap $25 Friday the 13th tattoos. Again, this, like, I don't remember the artist name that did this. It's basically a 13, and then the Ohm symbol is also kind of worked into the design, and I thought it was really neat. The gal had a pretty cool kind of design philosophy to it, and for 25 bucks, how cool is that? And that one was definitely more of an experience thing, going with my buddies from deployment that we got so close with each other over that time was just really fun, and it's something I will never forget. And I will also never forget that it was my first time that I'd ever seen thunderstorms in the middle of like a clear day. So like it was thunder and lightning, but there weren't clouds directly overhead. So I thought that was kind of cool and ominous for a Friday the 13th vibe. It was actually really, really neat. So that was also a 2017 tattoo. You'll notice I got them all kind of clustered together there. The next tattoo that I got was one that I love the most, probably out of all of them, and that is this rune tattoo right here. And this is a matching tattoo I actually got with my dad, and this is probably the tattoo that I get the most questions about. When y'all see this tattoo in the videos, I get tons of, is that a rune tattoo on your arm? What does it say? That's so cool that you have runes. And so yes, these are Anglo-Saxon runes. I am very, very Scottish, and that is from my dad's side of the family, and my last name when I was born was actually Armstrong before I took my stepdad's last name. So my dad and I went and got Armstrong tattooed in Anglo-Saxon runes. His is done actually in my handwriting. I didn't want my tattoo to be in my own handwriting. I had the artist do like super precision lines. I am kind of a little bit OCD about line work, but my dad wanted the authenticity of my handwriting on his forearm, so his is just a little bit different, but both do say Armstrong. So that was a really cool experience, and it was the last tattoo that I had gotten up until very, very recently. So the next tattoos that I got were actually just a few weeks ago as of the time that you'll be seeing this video, and those were both done from gals, plural, named Ashley, both named Ashley, and these were really cool experiences and kind of spurred me wanting to do this tattoo tour video because I'm getting a couple more. I get so many questions about my tattoos, and I know that I'm going to be getting lots more as I travel. So moving on into it, I just got this sword right here underneath the runes, and here is playing into my nerdy strengths. This is actually the Z sword from Dragon Ball Z, where the Supreme Kai pops out of when the sword breaks in the Dragon Ball Z anime series, or maybe if you read the manga, you'll know that Future Trunks wields it, etc. So it's a little bit nerdy. Okay, it's a bit nerdy, but I'm into swords, etc. And I was definitely into Dragon Ball Z, am definitely into Dragon Ball Z. It was kind of a defining show that I used to watch with my stepbrother growing up, and yeah, I still watch it to this day. So this was a really cool experience to get this sword here, especially having been so long since I had my last tattoo. This one by Ashley, the one over at Color Bomb in Milwaukee, she did a really fantastic job. She actually was covered in loads of Viking runes, so we kind of had some fun banter there because Anglo-Saxon and Viking obviously didn't get along but have very similar writing structures, so we had some fun banter there, and she had a really good time doing the sword on my forearm, so that was some really fun conversation there. And funny story is that I had been scheduled for this tattoo that I'll be going into next for like a month later, but as I was in the waiting room, so I wouldn't even have this tattoo yet as I'm filming this video, but as I was sitting in the waiting room for the sword tattoo, I got a phone call from the second Ashley over at Rockstar Tattoo in Milwaukee, and she was saying like, hey, I have an opening coming up tomorrow. Would you be interested in coming in tomorrow if you have time and availability? And I said, yes, absolutely, let's do it. And this is a really cool, funny tattoo that has some meaning to it, but also is sort of just for fun. And this is another one that represents Mama Renee a little bit, and also, of course, my love for food, and that is this pizza tattoo right here. Now, the design for this, I wanted the tattoo dripping into the gator. Since the gator has its mouth open, I've always just assumed he's really, really hungry, and I wanted to feed the gator. I thought that would be super funny. And pizza is kind of one of my favorite foods. Pizza is my mom's favorite food, and my mom also worked at Domino's while she was preggers with me, and basically lived and nurtured my growing fetus on Domino's cheesy pizza. So it always just reminds me that I love my mama Renee, and yeah, finally fed the gator. So that is super exciting. That is the end of my current tattoos. I do plan on adding more as Randy and I travel the globe. And before we even start traveling the globe, I do have a handful more tattoos that I want to get, which will actually be I think it'll be just like a few days before this video is seen by y'all. I want to kind of keep it mysterious and under wraps. I want to see if you guys can, number one, spot the tattoos, and number two, guess what they are and what they mean as they show up in the future videos. So as you see these tattoos show up, give me a holler in the future videos and say, hey, Katina, I see those new tattoos. And if you can guess what they are, that would be awesome. And then also, I'm probably gonna have to do another one of these tattoo tours in maybe a year or two as I add many more to the arsenal. As you've noticed, they are all confined to my left arm, and that is how I plan on keeping it for now. I don't think I'm gonna expand beyond the left arm, but we will see. It is kind of addicting to get tattoos, so definitely kind of a hot topic amongst people who think either A, you shouldn't get tattoos at all, or girls shouldn't have tattoos, etc. I love them. They're part of me. After I get them, I feel like they're just part of my skin. I don't really notice them very much unless I actually think about it. So yeah, I really enjoy them, and they are part of my personality and part of my very nerdy personality as well. So big hints for the future, they're gonna get nerdier, and while I'm traveling, they will probably get even nerdier still. It's a slippery slope. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight into myself a little bit, and of course my tattoos, and I hope it answered all your questions. And again, a big thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. If you haven't so far, like this video. If you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Okay, peace out, bye.